we're now at the James property at Bungeet, which is one of our other sites. And what I'd like to do is to hand over to Doug James, who will talk about the farm and introduce the other people who've associated with the managing and the operation of the farm.
Thanks, Jim. Hello, everyone. My name's Doug James, and on my right here is my son Steve, and our main man, Clint Nolan, indispensable part of our farming operation.
Thanks, Doug. Steve, would you like to talk a bit more about the sort of farming that you do here? What do you run? What are your, a bit about the property and the soils.
Yeah, we have 3,200 acres of predominantly granite, sandy soils, some flats, but the soil's a bit different, but most of our farm's rolling, undulating hill sort of country. And we run and join 2,400 first cross ewes. And with Pole Dorset rams, and turn off, we aim to get 3,000 second cross Dorset lambs each year, and sell predominantly to JBS. Well, basically all our lambs end up at JBS, and old ewes we sell through sale yards. Yes, we do a bit of cropping, mainly do grow sheep feed. We just put some oats in. Paddocks that need a bit of a renovation, we'll stick oats in, and while the oats go out, we'll also spread ryegrass and clover seed at the same time through their seeder. So yeah, we undersow everything, and yeah, that's about all we do really, is throw the oats in and give it a broadleaf spray and crop to take out any capeweed or stalkspill or paddock or anything broadleaf based. So yeah, we've been doing that for probably, Dad, the last 15 years. Just pasture cropping the poorer paddocks, and no heavy input, monoculture type cropping.
Thanks, Steve. Now, who amongst you would like to talk about the paddocks we've got in the trial and how they were selected and what the composition of them is?
Well, the two trial paddocks are basically the same, graze the same, and have the same history as the rest of the farm. There hasn't been any fertiliser, I think you said earlier, for about 15 years.
We cropped that far paddock probably 15 years ago. Put oats in there, and other than that, nothing. Nothing but sheep poo for fertiliser. So yeah, that's basically been the history of the paddocks, and all that I know of in the last sort of 2 years since I've been here.
And how would you describe the pasture? Is there annual based, or is it, perennials in them, or is it what's the composition, do you think?
Some clover and brome grasses and the barley grass.
Sorry, because I just don't know the history of it as much, but
yeah, just whatever grows really. This year we did give it a hit for broadleaves, because there was quite a bit of capeweed through it, and we found that really beneficial. A lot of other stuff grew once we took the capeweed out. Yeah, we haven't seen much difference in the paddocks compared to other paddocks around the farm. It's growing grass, but every paddock's growing grass this year. So.
It's probably had more even cover of clover on it, would it? Which is compared to this one, would you say?
Yeah, the clover's probably a little bit thicker through there than through this paddock. They have the blanket application.
Steve, would you perhaps just give us a rundown of what's happened with stock on the paddocks? What sort of stock have been run, and how many?
Was it 22 ewes per paddock? And then when the feed got away, we changed and we went to lambs, and we had 100 or 120 lambs, I think, in each paddock.
There was a few more in this one, wasn't
150 in this one, 120 in the other one.
And now we've changed again to 80 ewes in each paddock, young replacement ewes. maidens. So yeah, the last 2 months, it's had 80 maiden ewes in each paddock.
Or was that just thinking that they looked a bit better in the other paddock than this one?
Well, when we brought them in to jet them the other day, yeah, I think we did.
We did sort of both think that they looked slightly better condition in that paddock as opposed to this one, and the blanket application.
The results here mightn't have been, well, it's hard to, be too specific. I mean, I think the whole concept of this project has been quite sound and quite good, because a lot of, well, most farms in Australia, they do have very varying soil types. And with a history of ploughing paddocks, I know that full well. With modern agriculture now, a lot of the younger ones wouldn't be aware of it as much, because with direct drilling you don't get to see the bare soil or turn the soil over and see the differences. And so I still think the concept of precision fertiliser spreading is a sound one, as a efficiency and a money saving exercise. The best value for money we get is actually manipulating the pasture species rather than spreading more fertiliser. Putting my environmental or Landcare hat on, it's important going forward that we don't over fertilise, for nutrient runoff and all those sorts of things, which has become a huge issue in Europe. And as our agriculture becomes more intensified in a lot of areas, it'll become an issue here too. So.
Proudly supported by the Gecko Clan Network, Meridian Agriculture, Agriculture Victoria and the Australian Government.